Right, back live with you tonight on In Focus. ActionSA Ekurhuleni says it's assisting Kwa-Thema and Tsakane residents following protests there over water and electricity shortages for today, but also been for weeks there as far as water is concerned. The party blames the MMC, Leshaka Manamela, who oversees utilities in the metro. Both MMC and ActionSA Ekurhuleni caucus leader Siyanda Makhubo joining me for this conversation. Siyanda, good to have you. Thank you very much for coming in.
Thank you so much for having us, Thabo.
And also on the line, the MMC for water and sanitation there in Ekurhuleni. But let me start with you, maybe, Siyanda. Why are you bringing this down to capacity issues? And you're pointing at the mayoral committee lacking capacity when the mayor, or rather the MMC at least, has been clear around what the challenges are. Firstly, one, he says that the word that they have, at least, it's not been a month continuously. Yes, there are challenges in Tsakane, but this particular recent event has been at least for the last week or so, and this is because they had to deliberately switch off the water temporarily because of cavitation issues, and this is on the Rand water side because of low pressure and therefore storage challenges.
What's happening in Ekurhuleni, Thabo, and viewers at home is rather sad and unfortunate. What you have a puppet mayor, strings being pulled by the EFF externally and the ANC externally. The arrangement they have is currently not working, certainly not for the residents of Ekurhuleni. What you also have is that you have an arrangement of MMCs based on a compromise between the ANC and the EFF coalition. And certainly the MMC for water, sanitation and energy in the city of Ekurhuleni lacks the capacity, lacks the skills, and lacks the political will to deliver services to the residents of Ekurhuleni. When they came in last year, they arrived to a budget which prioritized and ring-fenced certain monies and budgets for specific projects. And one of those projects was water reservoirs, water towers in the city of Ekurhuleni, which for a number of years have not been maintained and have not been serviced. Now, your Tsakane, Kwa-Thema and Duduza lie in the far east of the city, which is a high-lying area, which means naturally on a geographical fact, it will experience low water pressure. Now, when they came in, what they did, and they're allowed to do this by laws, as according to the Municipal Systems Act, is to adjust the budget. What they did is that they took away funds which were ring-fenced to maintain and make sure that the infrastructure of water is serviced away from those projects. And this is currently what's happening. We foresaw that this would happen, and we warned the administration back in February when they adjusted the budget.
So you're saying the RW Mapleton system has not been maintained?
Yeah, no. The infrastructure in Ekurhuleni is not being maintained.
How long? And what are the challenges there?
For years. I mean, residents in those areas, particularly in Tsakane, which is the center of the three townships, have been informing us that for years, residents are reporting for up to 2 years that they haven't had consistent water supply. Now, Ekurhuleni is a special city in this country. We have what we call water shedding. So residents there have been struggling to get consistent water supply, particularly in Tsakane, as a result of the failure to maintain infrastructure. So there is an infrastructure backlog in the city. The MMC is aware of this. We've written emails to his office. We've written questions to him in council, asking him questions on why he is not maintaining infrastructure in the city of Ekurhuleni. So they should have foreseen this disaster that's currently happening. And it's happening in the entire city. Residents in Kempton Park also have water shedding. Residents in Benoni are sitting with an elephant tower which has not been completed, a water tower which has not been completed. Residents in Palm Ridge have been without water for 48 hours. Now, this is currently happening right now in Palm Ridge. So this is a citywide issue. The problem with Tsakane, Duduza and Kwa-Thema is that they're in a high-lying area, and so they do naturally struggle with water pressure as a result of that.
MMC, as much as you're saying you are not aware of a month-long challenge as far as Ward 83 is concerned, and the reason why we saw the march, the caucus of ActionSA are saying you surely have been aware, at least since early in the year, of the infrastructure backlogs that would have resulted in what we are seeing now.
No, thank you. Thank you very much, my brother, and greetings to the viewers of Newzroom Afrika. Let me correct this particular issue to say we are not aware of the issue in Ward 83. We were aware of the issue in Ward 83, but something that we are not that much aware is that they haven't had water for more than the time they are presuming about.
Absolutely. Yes.
But
That's what
we
you're saying.
Yes. We only came aware on the 18th of August that we are having challenges. But when we check our systems, we are not having that much of the challenges. And then that's when we had to go and check whether the rainwater was providing sufficient water on our site or not. And then upon our own internal investigation, that's then when we came to understand that the issues are not emanating from ourselves, as we are not having any infrastructural challenges, but we are not receiving the sufficient water from rainwater. That is where we are.
We are aware. That's what Councillor Makhubo here is saying. He's saying you've been aware of infrastructure backlogs at least since the beginning of the year, and you've adjusted the budget to deliberately take away money away from maintaining the water infrastructure, not only in Tsakane, but in Palm Ridge, in Davidton, and in other parts of the city.
Councillor Makhubo is not being truthful, my brother, because the issue there in Tsakane as of infrastructural challenges is not something that started only now. It is something that pre-exceeded even 2 years or so before. But one thing I can say to you, my brother, is that the challenges, when we are confronted with them, we have made sure that we provide an adequate alternative provision of water. Normally what would happen is that those areas around Ward 83, they would have some sort of challenges of water, but during the night they might experience those waters, but during the day we will have the challenges, but we'll provide our water tankers. Because we're dealing with, there is a reservoir that is going to supply those areas, particularly Ward 83 and the surroundings, of which we have just commissioned a booster pump and a generator. Of which we are about to unveil not so long ago. But with the challenges of rainwater, it seems like the challenges are on our side, but that's not the case.
So booster pump and generator, you're saying that would be a solution to all this?
Yes. Okay, let me try to explain this one. The system around Tsakane, my brother, is that they are being supplied from a Mapleton pump station. That is a rainwater pump station into our reservoirs. And what happens, it gets pumped into, there is a reservoir called a Zulu reservoir. And once a Zulu reservoir has reached a sufficient level, we then pump to Xhosa reservoir. Xhosa reservoir is the one that is feeding Ward 83 and the surroundings. So Xhosa reservoir is a newly built reservoir. It's a tower issue. It's a newly built tower that we have been busy with it. We have had some challenges, but we have actually commissioned a generator and a pump station. It's one of the things we are going to unveil in the coming weeks.
So it's a fairly new reservoir. When you were building it, did it take into consideration the fact that Ward 83 and surrounds are high-lying areas, and therefore they always would be needing a solution that would help them with the pressure because of the proximity and where they are located?
Correct. Remember that there were no reservoir or a tower before. So there is a tower that is going to feed those communities. However, the line, it passes through Xhosa reservoirs. That's how it happens. The line passes through Zulu reservoirs, then go on to Xhosa reservoirs. That's how it happens, my brother. But the situation, to tell you the truth, is that it was being addressed. And as it happens, we have exerted pressure from rainwater. And rainwater over the weekend has actually acceded to our pressure and made commitment that they will address the situation, and then we'll start seeing changes on Monday. And however, and I can safely tell you that on Monday, parts of Tsakane were starting to have to receive water on Monday. That was yesterday.
I'm going to come to that in just a moment, but I want the councillor here to respond to the situation. Seems, councillor, there is money that is being spent. A new tower was built called the Xhosa Reservoir. The only challenge is still need to pass through the old tower called the Zulu Reservoir. But the other thing that will now be brought in is a booster pump and a generator to augment and certainly help with the filling up of that reservoir.
You know, Thabo, the MMC is economical with the truth, and this is actually the first time I'm hearing the MMC speak. He's been MMC for almost a year now. We've never heard him speak in council. He shies away from questions, and the EFF speaker in council always defends him. So I'm very surprised that he's actually knowledgeable of his department. Nevertheless, the new reservoir exists, but the issue is not the reservoir. You can build 100 reservoirs throughout the city. The issue is the infrastructure underneath the city itself. So the pipes connecting the reservoir into the residents, the homes of residents. Ward 83 is first stop in Tsakane. Residents, they know of these water tower, but they're still not getting anything through their taps. As a matter of fact, the questions that we've sent through council have come back to us, informing us that there is no maintenance and there is no infrastructure capable to transport water from these water towers into the taps of residents. So I'm shocked that the MMC is informing the whole nation and the residents of Tsakane this evening that by Monday residents will receive water, where we know for an actual fact that officials on the ground are telling us otherwise. And we are in contact with residents on a daily basis, and they're informing us that this is not true, this is not what's happening.
What you said to the MMC saying this is actually on the Rand Water side, not on the municipality side?
Well, Rand Water has its functions and its duties, and it stops at a certain instance. And then there's an instance where the city needs to pick up its bulk services, in this instance water. And that's not happening on the city side. And that's exactly why we have tankers running around throughout those three townships on a daily basis, supplying water to residents. And under the issue of tankers, we know that there are allegations against...
Hold on, that's what I wanted to come to. That's why I didn't touch on the tankers. Let me take a break. When I come back, I want us then to talk tankers next, because there was some commotion around the tankers during the march earlier today. We have the MMC for Water, Sanitation and Energy in the city of Ekurhuleni, and the ActionSA Ekurhuleni caucus leader, Siyanda Makhubo. Stay with us. We're back in a minute. So I have with us still MMC for Water, Sanitation and Energy in the city of Ekurhuleni, ActionSA Ekurhuleni caucus leader Siyanda Makhubo. And you can be a part of the conversation, 072-110-5584. That's where you can get in touch with us. Mayor, I heard you speaking on the EK radio station earlier on, and you were saying some people are playing politics and politicizing the water issue. There have been calls for your resignation. What's your response to that?
Okay. I believe you're speaking to me.
Yes, go for it.
Yes, you said mayor.
Oh, I beg your pardon. I want to say MMC.
Yeah, so I thought maybe it's part of the ambush that maybe the mayor is... No. Okay, no, but okay, let me try to give you a context and a background around this issue, because I can hear that your guest there is running with a false narrative, and I thought maybe I'm on this show to address the current challenges existing in Tsakane. One is Kwa-Thema, Tsakane, Duduza is adjacent townships, neighboring each other. We do not have any water challenges in Kwa-Thema, and we do not have any water issues in Duduza. We have water challenges in a township called Tsakane. That is where we are. And when he's mentioning the issue of Duduza or Kwa-Thema, I don't know what is this talking about. If we are having any challenges, I know of one in Duduza. It was last week, and it was resolved over the weekend because there was a burst pipe where the contractors have actually damaged the pipe. That is that. That is one. But the issue surrounding Tsakane, my brother, is that, yes, we acknowledge that the residents of Tsakane have had this particular water challenges, and we do sympathize with them. But upon our investigation, we realized that the issue is not on our part, but we are not receiving sufficient water from rainwater. That is where we are. However, I want to also touch on the issue of the infrastructure he's speaking about. And if he's honest with you, know this one, that we have even previously, the areas that are being affected now are high-lying outskirt areas that are affected by the water. But we are also constructing another reservoir that is going to actually address that particular issue. But where we are is that we have, even in the past, we have commissioned a generator of which it was vandalized by certain criminal elements before, and then of which it redresses us. When we came in, we didn't have budget, but now in the new financial year, we have allocated a budget, we have procured a generator, it is there. We are about to actually unveil that particular generator, of which it is going to be operational in the coming weeks. Yeah. But now what is happening...
So you're saying, as far as you're concerned, you're not aware of damaged infrastructure underground, not at the Rand Water side, at the municipality side supposed to take water to the homes?
Okay. Let me tell you, we are having an ailing infrastructure. Our infrastructure is old, and is part of it. Our infrastructure was never actually maintained adequately. So we are, on our CapEx budget, we are replacing the old infrastructure with the new one, but we are not starving people water. We are aware of that. But the challenges we are experiencing in Tsakane is not as a result of the ailing infrastructure. We need to make that one clear. The challenges we are confronting or we are experiencing in Tsakane is that we did not receive adequate water from Red Water. It is not we did not have any huge best pipe or any other thing. It is not about that particular issue. Where we are, the reason the community of Tsakane is up in their arms for not having water, it is precisely because we did not receive adequate water from rainwater since the 18th.
So you're saying calls for your resignation are misplaced. I mean, they're saying you must resign because you left the president.
The ActionSA is still bruised, my brother, and trying to find relevance. That is why I don't want to get into that particular political space. I know, my brother, we are coming from a winter. We are experiencing electricity challenges. They've always been on the case of the EFF portfolios, to say the least. So it is not the first call, but on this one, it is for the first time, but they've been making this call. Yeah. But this ActionSA, what do you expect from them? Because they are trying to find relevance, thinking that they can get that relevance through ourselves.
Talk to me before we let you go, MMC, on the question of MTVA. I think one of the residents saying they are having issues with this tankering trucking service. And issues around tendering and people who are beneficiaries here being politicians. What's the story?
Okay. Before we get into those tendering system, but can I highlight this one to say what we are experiencing now in Tsakane, it is no longer people have hijacked the legitimate concern of the community of not having water into something else. Because even our officials, today in the afternoon, they were held hostages when they were trying to pump the very same caucus reservoir that I'm saying it supplies the areas that are affected. So certain people didn't want our officials to pump water in caucus reservoir, and they held them hostage. So it is no longer about the community protest or marches, but certain we can say criminal elements seems to have hijacked it. But when you are speaking about the issue of water tankers, my brother, is that as and when our communities are experiencing water shortages, the city is duty-bound to provide an alternative. And the alternative is just to have the moving water tankers. That is where we are. We like it or not, my brother, is that people are in the business of moving water, or they are owning those water tankers, and they can provide that particular.
Who are the people?
There are service providers.
Yeah.
So remember, politicians are
through proper processes.
Come again?
Were they brought in through proper procurement processes into the system?
Some of those service providers, we inherited them ourselves, by the way. So as long as our people can get water, and if the tendering system or the tender that was issued was fair and square, we do not see any reason why should we not give certain people that particular role because they happen to be affiliated to any of the political parties. But the one thing I can tell you is that we are not going to get any of our fighters that they are contracted to those, or they are providing those particular services. We agree like that, and we are open.
Hence I'm asking, who are the people and who are they connected to?
I'm not at liberty at this current juncture to name service providers, but those are the legitimate business people that are providing services to the city, and they are contracted to the city. And some of them we have inherited them, by the way.
Yeah. Councillor, they shall henceforth be known as legitimate business people who are service providers.
Yeah. what the MMC is neglecting to inform the residents of the city of Ekurhuleni and the nation is that we know that there are squabbles within the executive. There are 10 MMCs, 5 come from the ANC and 5 come from the EFF. The EFF holds strategic positions, and one of them is that it is the MMC for finance. And we know that there is infighting within the executive. We know that there is fights over tender contracts. We know that there is fight between service providers and who gets what pie of the share. And what's also very sad whilst all of this is happening is that the executive mayor is absent. Thabo, we are asking the residents of the city of Ekurhuleni or anyone in the country who happens to see Councillor Ngodwana anyway to please report to the nearest police station, because we don't know where the mayor is. Because remember, he delegates his authority to these 10 MMCs. And MACO meetings have collapsed previously. Officials have been telling us that there are screaming matches in meetings. And the bone of contention is tenders between the EFF and the ANC. And what we are saying right now is that we're putting all this blame to the executive mayor because the power vests in him, the authority vests in him. We're also calling for him to recall the MMC for water, energy and sanitation and replace him with someone who has more skills and who's competent to do the work.
You're saying you're just merely bruised, man.
No, not
they took
at all.
over power. You're politicizing this to just find relevance.
Not at all, Thabo. You remember that ActionSA left the multi-party coalition before Tanya Campbell was voted out by a vote of no confidence. 3 months before she was voted out, we had said we can't form part of this government because it is not delivering the services to the residents, and we left voluntarily. So it is not true that we are bruised. We left voluntarily, and we are occupying the opposition benches in council right now. What's currently happening is that the EFF and the ANC is fighting over the pie of the share, and we know that they need funds to campaign next year. It's an important election next year, and whilst all of this is happening, the mayor is keeping quiet, non-existent, not participating, saying nothing at all, physically and literally saying nothing at all. The Speaker of Council, who holds a very important position in Council, who ought to hold the executive accountable, is instead protecting the MMCs in Council.
MMC, you can weigh in quickly. I'll give you a quick 30 seconds. I'm out of time.
I find it to be unfair because I'm on a phone interview and I can't engage that particular comrade face to face. But we are being subjected to rumor mongering, where the person is speaking about things he knows nothing about. He is now saying there is a squabbles in the NAICO and all those kind of things, of which is for the first time hearing them from him. And now we are made to be entertaining, or we are made to be making him relevant because he's seeking relevance. We know this councillor very well that he likes the spotlight and we have given it to him. Now we are legitimizing him with giving the same platform we are giving it to us. But one thing I can tell you
is that the mayor still in office? Where's the mayor?
The mayor is still in office. I'm still the MMC of Water, Sanitation and Energy. And we are always in constant contact with the mayor. We are always briefing him. We are always getting the brief. I was in Tsakane on Friday.
He should only be briefed. We should see him visibly, and he should, for example, in the Tsakane issue, be visible.
I was in Tsakane on Friday. I addressed that particular community, and we have addressed them physically, so I was there in Tsakane on Friday. So we are not running away from our constituencies. We have told them what are the issues. But one thing I can tell you is that their concern, their legitimate concern, has been hijacked by the criminal elements. Like I've told you that our officials were held hostage, trying to pump water that is going to find its way in the taps of the communities of Tsakane, particularly Ward 83. Right. So this councillor coming here is not addressing those particular issues. He's being here coming up with the rumor mongering kind of a tendency. He's talking things that we are not even aware of, but is including us into those things. Where was the mayoral committee? Where was the mayoral committee get collapsed? We are even having one tomorrow. We are having a mayoral committee almost every month. Not almost, every month actually.
All right, MMC, I appreciate your time. Thank you very much for coming on and your intervention here today. Councillor, thank you very much. We're out of time. That's why we're going to have to leave it. I'll be back with you with your headlines at top of the hour. Stay with us.